Welcome back. So talking about technology and education, and of course the debate surrounding whether we should introduce laptops next year or there are better things of more priority to be looked at first. Now, to talk to us about technology and how we can incorporate it to our education system is Cleopas Mbugua, who is a lecturer at the university, Daystar University, and of course an ICT consultant. Welcome, Mbugua.
Thank you very much.
Our breakfast show. So, of course, a lot of people have come across the initials ICT, but what does that entail?
Thank you, Mr. Mwakazi and Mr. Mutegi. ICT, the I stands for information, the C stands for communication, and the T stands for technology. It's like an acronym. And this was coined because in the earlier times of development in Africa, technology and communication and information were seen as distinct entities. But it was realized from around early 80s that if you combine the two, you get better, you're able to be more efficient and more accurate in your operations. So the idea of combining what you are communicating and with the technology was also used a lot during the coup d'etats in Africa. Because those who grabbed the radio, for example, or the TV for that matter, they would announce now they are the leader. And that goes to the whole country once simultaneous and spontaneously. And so this has developed now into what you see as used in supermarkets. When you buy something, the information is fed. You get the information of the item. You get the communication through your receipt. And the technology records the transaction, which can be used later as forensic material.
There is this boy who was trying to make a plane the other day.
Yes.
And there's somebody who has written an article in the newspaper today saying that actually our education system does not encourage innovation and technology.
Yeah.
Because that boy, for instance, he was in a newspaper. He's now ignored. He's nothing.
Yeah.
After that, nothing happened.
Nothing. Yeah. You're right, Mr. Mutegi. We must appreciate that anything new or novel creates both fear and awe, because you don't know what's going to do. If you think of vaccines, some people fight vaccines. So when you think of a young boy coming up with a plane, what else can't he do? And because you don't have academies, the issue here, you don't have academies to take those kind of people. People like Bill Gates, when he was 6 years, he was in charge of the library he was in nursery school that time. And the people noticed that he had special skills. So normally what happens is anything new or novel creates fear. And there is something called fear of the unknown. Before that boy, there was somebody, yeah, you have mentioned him, yes. Who actually made a plane using a VW engine. It flew. When he landed, he also landed in jail because of that fear. Yes.
Right. So, of course, the concern has always been how can we incorporate technology into our education system, and especially when we are grappling with issues to do with we don't even have sufficient structures, we have students who don't even have food, and we're now talking about technology.
Well, the fear is sometimes created because technology and education are not foreigners to each other. When I was in primary school in the 70s, we used to have radio broadcast classes. We would gather in a village and get lessons through the radio. That is technology and education. Our Kenya Institute of Education has a whole department on that. I think sometimes the way the information is communicated could be the cause of the fear, because we are not introducing something entirely new, which is combining technology and education. Like I have already referred to the radio broadcast classes. We are now in e-learning. E-learning means electronic learning. And when our government, our beloved government, talks of the laptops for children, people are just fearing because they are removing the laptop from a radio broadcast class. So there should be no fear. And as to whether it can be possible, any good idea is always possible, because when they start, our beloved president and his deputy, this is something which can go on for the next 20 years to be realized.
20 years?
Yeah, and it can be realized. And many people forget that novel ideas, they must be started by somebody. This time it is.
But how practical is it?
In terms of being practical, the first time people heard about radio broadcast classes, they said, how practical is it? And then it was done. Now, to equip children with the computers is not so hard as people think. I now know that in certain, even here in Kenya, we have a place where students are issued with a tablet. Each student is issued with a tablet in the classroom. They use it, and then they return it. The beauty of it is more efficient and effective. A student will just post their question, and all the other students, you get it, plus the lecturer. So if you want to issue laptops, maybe what you look at is the management of the facilities. Will they be taken home? Will they have a safe storage point at school? Will you have people introduce the technology in a gradual form? You don't want to give, it's like a menu, you don't give all the meal at once. That's why in some hotels you have the starters. Mr. Mbugua has been going to Tali Hotel, and then the main course, and then the dessert. So you don't have to roll everything the first year.
The concern also that was raised was, yes, we're introducing laptops to standard 1 students, but what of the teachers? They are not perhaps educated, literate when it comes to using laptops.
Well, that's Mr. Mwakazi is another, I would classify that as another fear of the unknown. Kenyan teachers are some of the most highly educated teachers in the world. Maybe you are aware that certain universities are always conducting holiday classes. So the teacher in the primary school, he may not appear educated to the general public, but they are going on and pursuing their degrees, even in primary school. And what can be done and which would help is to have a program of training the teachers, which would be funded by the government, maybe through seminars, which can be conducted in the counties. Because one of what I call the fear of the unknown is, if you give a child a laptop and the teacher does not know how to operate it, of course the teacher will be intimidated. I know of a kid who is 6 years, 7 years now, and he shows me a few things on the laptop. I'm sure he's watching this program where he is. And when we brought the computers and he was shown how to open, the next time he was telling me, hi, you have forgotten this. This is how you can get to here. So why don't we think of empowering our teachers? Because even these laptops, will they be given on day 1? Or in all the republic? I think there will be a rollout program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course the other concern has been the psychological effects.
Yes.
I mean, there has been this debate, perhaps we need to allow the children to grow up first and then introduce it when they are old enough, instead of giving them when they're very young. Are there any psychological effects when you introduce them?
Again, that is the domain of the fear of unknown. How do children grow up? It's gradual.
In any case, many children now are dealing with it. They are playing with the mobile phones.
Yes.
There are so many games that children play.
Yes.
Those are computer things. So
But then now people are talking about laptops, and
Yes.
you know the argument of, you know, don't allow your child, your baby, to stay watching the television for so long. This is a laptop, and it's purely close to a television, and they will perhaps spend a lot of time using that gadget. Are there any psychological effects to that matter?
Definitely they are, because what you see with your eyes get into your brain. When it gets into your brain, it forms actions, which form your character and your destiny. So
But this is positive.
it can be both.
It
Can be
depends on
both.
how it is used.
Yes. So it can be positive, Mr. Mutegi, or it can be negative. Negative when you become an addict.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in terms of psychology, Mr. Mwakazi, is do we have what I would call a package to deal with that? For example, these children, will they have the laptop the whole day? I'm imagining they will have this laptop during the computer
Particular
lesson first. And if I propose that you issue books for the lesson, then you take them. Then of course there should be a training program for both the parents and the teachers on the effects of addiction. Because it is also known that images alter the mind. For example, when you are used to violence all the time,
I think we are not living in the 21st century.
yes,
How many children these days
mm-hmm.
play with their parents' mobile phones or their own mobile phones?
Mm.
How many children have PlayStations?
Most
Yeah.
of them.
PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
A very expensive gadget.
Yes,
With the games the parents give them.
yes.
So what's a laptop?
Exactly. Yeah. Now you are saying it.
You know, the concern is, I mean, in fact, there was a cartoon to that effect. If you give somebody who is literally surviving to get food a laptop, they might just munch eat part of the laptop. So it's not necessarily a priority. Why don't you give that person food, and then later on, when they are all settled, you can actually give them the laptop.
But Mwakazi, you can also argue this way. That child who should not be given a laptop because they have nothing to eat, therefore they should not even get an exercise book. They will eat the exercise book. They should not go to school. Yeah, they let them just feed and become illiterate just because of feeding. No.
Maybe to interject there, 1971, 72, 73, there was a program by the Israel government which was providing lunch to schools. Mr. Mutegi might remember those kind of things.
Even
So-
now there are school printing programs.
Yes,
There are milk giving programs
yes,
for those countries where there is no food.
yes. So if we approach this issue positively and say, you are giving a laptop, you also give lunch for the child. Mr. Mutegi also and Mr. Mokazi, you are aware of the Nyayo milk those days.
Yeah.
So let us, if it were possible, package the laptop with other goodies, so that you don't say you are giving the child a laptop and he has no food. Once we can remove that view, like Mr. Mutegi is saying, are you therefore saying that these children who have no food should not go to school? You know, that is the extreme way of looking at it. If they go to the school, why don't they go to the school? Remember, these are public schools. Get the laptop, because we know that in many places in this country, some children, we only see a computer maybe when they go to a computer college after Form 4.
Yeah.
And I remember that I introduced a project in one school in Moranga. And when I came up with the idea, this was like about 13 years ago, and I told the parents, we can have our children exposed to computers. They said, where do you get the money? So we came up with a computer club. We contributed 2,000 shillings each over the parents, 800 parents, and we introduced computers in that school, because my argument was, this is a school in the village. When those children come here, they tell Mr. Mutegi, I'm doing a computer package called SMS or email. and it is 50,000. Now remember that we have people who are willing to cash on people's ignorance.
Yeah.
So if these people are exposed to this, who knows, in the 20 years we might be like an economy like Malaysia.
Which means nobody will be good to a computer calling to line one processing.
Yeah, like when you hear packages, like you are told email is a package.
Yeah.
And you pay for it.
Somebody says here children are exposed to computers in the womb when mothers want to know the sex of the baby. That is Liz from Voi. Another person says that person in that dry area can actually tweet, "We want food," because of their laptops.
Yes.
So there's a concern here. Somebody says, I agree with you that teachers are educated, but 99% are computer illiterate, even those with degrees. Their work is typed in cyber cafes.
My comment on that is education is very broad. And in this country, in the if you look at the commissions we have had, Omida Commission, Degwa Commission, Professor McKay introduced the second university. Education is very wide. Computer knowledge actually rides on other levels of knowledge. And the fact that I have a degree and I am not computer literate is not a very negative, should not be viewed negatively, because maybe I have never been told the importance of learning the packages. Again, that could be due to fear. One, fear of the expenses. I have said that I really admire Kenyan teachers because some of them pay their way through university. So if they have money just for the courses other than computer, that is why they get degrees, and sometimes they are not computer literate. As to their work being typed on a cyber cafe, it is a way of being efficient. If you have assignments, they have to be typed. It is advisable to spend more time in the library doing your research. Pay somebody to type your work.
Let me tell you, there's nothing impossible. Last week,
Yes.
I attended a meeting of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa
Yes.
in Nyahururu.
Yes.
If you went to that congregation, it was a meeting of the General Administrative Council. 50% of the mamas there and mzees and priests and laptops, because they were told the information, they normally have a very big book, which is called a docket, big, show the program of the week. They were told it will not come in, because it's very heavy. They were told it will come through soft copy. So many of them went and brought laptops, and they were using them. And I saw the most digitized church, because many mamas, many mzees were having
carrying laptops
and tablets.
iPads.
And that took about 1 year, because it was declared last year, you will not get those things anymore in book form.
Yes.
You will get them in soft copy. So you had better be knowing how to use this.
You are right, Mr.
And they did it.
There's another concern here. Why give laptops to Turkana kids, yet they don't have food, shelter, and clothing in the first place? Where will you keep them? Schools don't even have locable classes. They'll be traded for money, believe me.
Where is Mr. Buthuro from?
This is
No,
everything from Turkana.
I'm asking, where the Speaker of the National Assembly is man from Turkana? Is he computer literate? Where is the governor of Pokot, the one who did special maths in Cambridge? Those kind of arguments are nonsense.
Mr. Mukazi, I think you want my comment on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm saying that what Mr. Mutegi is saying is true. Are you saying that because you are from Turkana or Turkana, you don't go to school? Let us start from there. You go to school so that you can get food, education, and now a laptop.
And if
why is the focus?
If they are pastoralists, you know that guy when he came here, he set up schools, one good school, and the community go there because they know there you get food, like you say. Apart from that, then you get a laptop.
And as for where they will be stored, I'm sure this government is looking into those kind of issues, because I've just proposed you can have strong rooms.
And why do you need strong rooms anyway? Exactly. If everybody has a laptop, there is no need for thieving.
There will be no theft.
Where
will you take it?
Where will you take it?
Yeah. And
people steal what is not available. What is available, we tell and go to sell to who? Where do you take it?
But it's going to be a pilot project, so we don't expect all the students for getting to standard 1 having each a laptop.
When education came here in this country, It didn't come all over the place. It started in certain areas where the missionary went.
Yeah.
They started in Tumutumus, where the Catholics started here. The America started. It didn't start all over. Then it spread.
All right. A concern here from Vitaly says, just a concern, does Mr. Mbugua know of the countries which the same program has failed? For example, Ukraine and Peru, to mention but a few.
I like that question, Mr. Johnson Mokazi. And I will ask Vitalis whether he knows countries where it has succeeded. Because I'm proposing, let us be people who think positively. Let us be positivists. We don't know how it was started in Ukraine or the other countries he has mentioned. But why can it be said that it was started here in Kenya by the Jubilee government and succeeded?
And even, even if it failed after maybe 3 or 4 years, some people will have benefited. Some kids will have gone through that system and benefit. Although I don't expect it to fail. But even if it did fail, not all people who go to school succeed. You start with a class of 40 students, how many go to university?
And also, Mr. Mwakazi, when our third president proposed free primary education, people said it failed in I don't know which countries that time. Even some people even say now it has still failed. And I say those are people who they don't want to think positively. If they thought positively, our president, retired president, was able to put so many children in school through free primary education, such that a former president of the US came just to see him and congratulate him on that. Bill Clinton.
All right.
Yes.
Perhaps as we wind up, Augustine from Siaya County says, I don't buy laptop idea, but build computer lab per school. This would be accessed by all students, enhances more accountability.
That could be one way. Yeah. It could be one way of doing it.
My comment on that, that's now a positive thinker.
Yeah.
Because he is now telling us the way forward.
All right.
Not say that it failed in Ukraine, therefore it will fail here.
Get it out of our way. All right. So it's, of course, something that we're waiting next year. But just like it has been said, we need to have that positive thought when it comes to incorporating technology in our schools, especially the lower level of our school, Standard 1 students getting their laptops from next year. Well, it's been a great honor to serve you this morning here on the Power Breakfast Show. My name is Johnson Mwakazi.
And I'm telling you.
Of course, Bwana Cleopas Mbugua. Thank you so much indeed. Until tomorrow, do have a blessed day. We'll meet tomorrow as God wills.